In 2018, Antoine Griezmann stood on top of the football world. But just a few years earlier, French clubs had rejected him for being too weak, and two crushing final defeats had left him in tears. So how did the boy nobody want to become France's World Cup hero? Griezmann was turned away by several French clubs, including Bordeaux. The main reason was always the same. He was considered physically too weak. However, an opportunity emerged in Spain. With family roots in the Iberian Peninsula, Griezmann began his professional journey there. Real Sociedad became his new home, despite being 800 kilometers away from his parents. His rise to the first team began when Martin Lasart called him up to train with the senior squad. His quality on the ball, especially his first touch, immediately stood out, and Lasart, who had also given Luis Suarez his debut, recognized his potential early. Griezmann became a key part of Real Sociedad's rebuild, helping the club win the Segunda Division title and return to La Liga. At just 18, he stood out as a quick, direct winger and earned recognition in France, including a call-up to the U19 team. In his first La Liga season, he scored 7 goals and played 37 of 38 matches as Sociedad narrowly avoided relegation. Under Philippe Montanier, he developed into a more complete and tactically aware player, moving into a more central role and helping the club qualify for the Champions League. During that time, his progress with France was interrupted by an under-21 disciplinary incident. After leaving camp to attend a party before a qualifier against Norway, he was suspended from the national team setup for a year. Under Jagoba Arrasate, Sociedad struggled in Europe, but Griezmann reached a new level domestically. He scored 16 league goals, earned a €54 million move to Atlético Madrid, and convinced Didier Deschamps to call him up to the senior France team. After a period of uncertainty over his international future, Griezmann made his debut for France in May. He scored 3 goals in his first 4 matches, but the World Cup ended in disappointment as France were knocked out in the quarterfinals. Diego Simeone would become the most influential manager of Griezmann's career. He moved him into a central role and demanded greater intensity, pressing, and work rate. The adjustment was not immediate, but after scoring twice against Córdoba in the 10th game week, Griezmann found his rhythm. He scored his first hat-trick against Athletic Bilbao. In the Madrid derby, he scored Atletico's 3rd goal against Casillas. He became one of Simeone's key players and finished the season with 22 goals, only the start of his legacy. As the most important player in Simeone's squad, Griezmann scored Atletico Madrid's first league goal of the season and went on to register 38 goal contributions, leading his club into the decisive stage of the campaign with 85 points at the top of the table, level with Barcelona. And in the Champions League, Griezmann produced a heroic performance at the Calderón against Barcelona, scoring 2 goals to send his team to the semifinals. But it did not stop there. A goal at the Allianz Arena, past Neuer, secured a place in the final in Milan against Real Madrid. Despite being the best player in the league, ahead of Messi and Ronaldo, it was not enough, and Atletico Madrid finished 3 points short of the title, with all the pressure shifting to the Champions League final. At the Giuseppe Meazza, a goal by Ramos put Atletico Madrid at a disadvantage early on, and when the chance to equalize came, Griezmann stepped up but hit the crossbar. It became one of the most heartbreaking moments of Antoine Griezmann's career. Just 2 weeks after the heartbreak of that Champions League final, Antoine Griezmann arrived at Euro 2016 as France's biggest star. This was no longer the same Griezmann. As the competition started, Griezmann scored only 1 goal in the group stage, but in the knockout stage, he proved his quality, scoring a brace against Ireland, then adding a goal and 2 assists against Iceland in the quarterfinals. After that, France was set to face Germany in the semifinal. A penalty from Griezmann gave France the lead, but Germany remained strong until Griezmann's 2nd goal secured their place in the final against Portugal. At the Stade de France, Griezmann carried the hopes of the entire French nation on his shoulders. But after the match went to extra time, Eder's goal condemned him to a 2nd final defeat in 43 days. He had come painfully close to the title once again, and he broke down in tears after the match, an experience that would make him stronger and more composed in Russia. In the end, Griezmann finished 3rd in the Ballon d'Or. However, you could argue that with more luck in those finals, he would have broken Messi and Ronaldo's dominance. Griezmann became the new Prince of Madrid, Atletico Madrid's superstar, the cornerstone of Simeone's team, and a tactical force in every phase, but that season did not go as far as the previous one. With 38 goal contributions for Atletico Madrid and a brilliant partnership with Fernando Torres, Griezmann still could not carry his side into the league title race. In the Champions League, he scored against Leverkusen and again against Leicester City in the quarterfinals, helping his team reach the semifinals against Real Madrid. Ronaldo's hat-trick in the first leg left the situation at the Calderón extremely tense. But in the second leg, Atletico struck early. After 12 minutes, Saul scored, and soon after, Torres won a penalty. Griezmann stepped up with all the pressure on his shoulders and the painful memories still fresh in his mind. His powerful shot bounced off Neuer's hand and into the net, making it feel like revenge, but a goal from Isco ended all hope. Another trophyless campaign for Griezmann followed, but with France in the World Cup qualifiers, he recorded 9 goal contributions to help lead them to Moscow, dreaming of repeating what Zinedine Zidane had done at the 1998 World Cup. The following season began in disaster. Atletico crashed out of the Champions League group stage and dropped into the Europa League. But Griezmann came alive there, starting with a goal and an assist against Copenhagen, then adding 3 more goal contributions against Lokomotiv Moscow and another goal against Sporting to send Atletico into the semi-finals against Arsenal. At the Emirates, Griezmann led the counterattack that brought Atletico level. In the second leg, he set up Diego Costa's winner and sent his team into the final. Then, in France at the Groupama Stadium, Griezmann struck after just 20 minutes. Early in the second half, Coke found him again, and with a brilliant piece of movement, he scored his second of the night to secure the first European trophy of his career. Just 1 month later, the World Cup began in Russia. Griezmann scored France's opening goal against Australia and was named man of the match, the first step in what would become a glorious run. Even in a deeper role than he had played at the Euros, he still made dangerous runs beyond Giroud and gave Mbappe more freedom on the wing. When the knockout stage began, Griezmann delivered in every match. He scored the opener against Argentina in the round of 16, then produced a goal and an assist against Uruguay to send France into the semi-final against Belgium. At that moment, Griezmann looked like the complete player, a footballer with a Spanish mind, a French touch, and a South American work rate. Against Belgium, Umtiti's header from a Griezmann corner sent France into the World Cup final against Croatia. This time, Griezmann was determined not to leave the final in tears. In front of 78,000 spectators, the tension was immense. And after 18 minutes, his free kick forced Mandzukic to score an own goal. Perisic then equalized for Croatia, making it 1-1. But France soon won a penalty, and Antoine Griezmann stepped up with the hopes of the entire nation on his shoulders. He converted it and celebrated with a fortnight dance. But the drama was far from over. Then came another decisive moment. Griezmann's pass found Pogba, whose stunning finish made it 3-1. With a goal and 2 assists, Griezmann was named man of the match. At last, the dream had come true, and he left with tears of happiness. That was the most achievable season for Griezmann. Finally, he made it, brought Atletico Madrid a trophy, became a national hero, and finished third in the Ballon d'Or for the second time. Barcelona began to view Antoine Griezmann as a new superstar to replace Neymar, but Atletico Madrid raised his release clause to €200 million to prevent the transfer. The following season, despite nothing special, Griezmann proved his quality again, scoring 21 goals and making 10 assists. However, Griezmann wasn't close to any title, which made him think twice about leaving next season. After joining Barcelona for €120 million, Griezmann arrived under huge pressure. The transfer fee was massive, Atletico fans turned against him, and fitting into a team built around Messi and Suarez was never going to be easy. Under Valverde, he was often pushed out wide, away from the central areas where he was most dangerous, and his first season never truly clicked. He finished with 19 goal contributions in 48 games. Barcelona ended the season without a trophy, and the 8-2 humiliation against Bayern Munich made his start in Catalonia feel even more disappointing. Things improved under Ronald Koeman. Playing more as a second striker, Griezmann looked far more comfortable and productive, scoring 21 goals and providing 13 assists. He even scored in the Copa del Rey final, helping Barcelona win his first trophy at the club. But there was still a bitter twist. Barcelona finished third in La Liga, while Atletico Madrid won the title without him. Then came another setback on the international stage, as France were knocked out in the round of 16, and Griezmann ended the tournament with only 1 goal. Because of Barcelona's financial problems, he returned to Atletico Madrid. But instead of a hero's welcome, he was met with boos, criticism, and limited minutes. He had to rebuild everything from scratch. Just as he started to regain his form, a muscle injury slowed him down. Still, it was only the beginning of his rebirth in Madrid. By the next season, Griezmann had rediscovered himself. Before the World Cup, he had already recorded 11 goal contributions, and in Qatar, Didier Deschamps transformed him into a midfield engine. At a stage when many thought he was finished, Griezmann reached another level and once again became one of the most important players in the France squad. He ranked among the tournament's best for big chances created and assists, level with Messi, to help send France to another final. In that final, Scaloni delivered a tactical masterclass, isolating Antoine Griezmann through constant pressure and cutting off his connections with Mbappe, Giroud, and Dembele. For the first time in the knockout stages, Griezmann was taken off, and Gonzalo Montiel's winning penalty condemned him to a second World Cup final defeat with France. As the season progressed, Griezmann finished with 17 assists, the most in the league, along with 15 goals, re-establishing himself as one of the best players in Spain and convincing Atletico Madrid to make his return permanent for €22 million. The following season brought another disappointment on the international stage, as Griezmann endured a difficult Euro campaign and was even benched in the semi-final, before later announcing his retirement from international football. At club level, Griezmann made history. He broke Luis Aragon's record to become Atlético Madrid's all-time top scorer, cementing himself once again as a true club legend. Antoine Griezmann became Diego Simeone's mastermind on the pitch, a leader, a creator, and the heartbeat of the team, guiding Atlético once again to the Champions League semifinals. The streets will never forget the version of Griezmann we saw in 2016, and despite all the setbacks, he will always be remembered as an Atlético Madrid legend, and as a hero for the country that once refused him as a child. Don't forget to subscribe.